Welcome to our 5 on 5. Pleased to be joined by Oregon U.S. Senator Ron Wyden. Senator, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So we're recording this Saturday after a very busy week at the Supreme Court. You were unhappy with each of the major decisions on discrimination, affirmative action, and student loan forgiveness. Which one upset you the most, perhaps?
Well, all three of them run contrary to my fundamental belief, which is we ought to be giving opportunity for everybody in Oregon to get ahead. So let's look, for example, at the question of students financing, college. I mean, this decision is just going to hammer working class and middle class folks who are already struggling to pay for education. With respect to civil rights, we want a policy that ensures that everybody is free of discrimination. And then with respect to the last area, I say it's just basic fairness to ensure that everybody's got an opportunity. And on all three of those issues, the court tried to turn back the clock.
Less than a year and a half away from the 2024 election, I feel like I got to ask you about this stuff. Leaked audio recently came out of former President Trump, allegedly discussing secret documents while waving them around in a meeting with a group. He says they were not actually classified documents that he was waving, just papers in his hands. You're on the Senate Intelligence Committee. You're privy to highly sensitive U.S. intelligence. What's your reaction to this?
Well, first of all, I want Oregonians to know that as a member of the Select Committee on Intelligence, I respect the fundamental rule, which is you do not take those classified documents out of the room, period, full stop. So it is just inconceivable to me that a high-ranking official would take them home, leave them around showers and that sort of thing.
At the time of the 2024 election, President Biden will be almost 82. At the same time, former President Trump will be nearly 78 and a half. A lot of American voters are concerned about President Biden's age. Do you think that's valid for them?
If you look at the way he handled the State of the Union, where he was on his game, he was getting heckled vocally by Republican members, he gave as good as he got. And I think those are the kinds of measures people are looking for. Is somebody on top of his game, and in particular, can they answer criticism?
Just yesterday, I believe you asked, maybe in a letter, or at least you announced it yesterday, the federal government to crack down harder on fentanyl flowing into Oregon via I-5 and I-84 up north. Can you share any specifics about what you're hoping the Fed does?
This is going to be a special priority for me, and it has been in the past. I-5 and 84 are major corridors for this flood of fentanyl that is coming in. The Customs and Border Patrol is under the jurisdiction of the Senate Finance Committee, where I'm chair. There's an acting director right now, and I told him, look, you've got to up your game. We offered some suggestions. I'll let them have a chance to respond. But one way or another, we're going to get a stronger response from Customs and Border Patrol, because we're not able to just sit back and say this fentanyl issue is going to go away on its own. It's not. It's pouring into Oregon. That's unacceptable.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll have much more with the Senator in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Senator Ron Wyden. Senator, you're joining several other Western senators in a bipartisan push to increase wildland firefighter recruitment and retention. Is our staffing up to par this year? It's July. It's about 100 degrees today. Should people be concerned?
The first thing we've got to do is make sure that, because the end of the fiscal year is going to roll salaries back, is to get that money in place. I can tell you, having just had 7 town hall meetings in rural Oregon, I often see help wanted signs, and they're offering pay that's greater than firefighters get. So this is going to be a top priority. And yes, in southwestern Oregon, they've done a good job of recruiting, but you've got to get the pay up.
The NTIA, that's the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, announced this past week $689 million will help expand internet access across the state. How will that impact Southern Oregon?
First, I'm very proud of the fact that we stepped in, because we found that something like 48,000 households, not persons, were being undercounted for purposes of the money that would go to Oregon for broadband. And the reality is broadband for smaller communities is just like a farm without water. I mean, they can't survive. I mean, it's for education, it's for healthcare, it's for small business. We were able to get that money, almost $700 million. It is a record amount of funds that are going to be coming to Oregon. I'm particularly proud that our staff and I really cracked down on the fact that we had been undercounted, and we've got that corrected.
The PGA Tour is merging with Live Golf. This is something you've been talking about for some time. You very concerned about Saudi activities here in Oregon and the U.S. Are you going to investigate this?
Yes, we already are. And look, the Saudis have shown utter disrespect for Oregonians and the rule of law in the United States. Look at the Jamal Khashoggi situation. And I'm very troubled by the fact that this deal, the Saudis and the PGA is really, to my view, being lubricated with blood and oil. And they go out every chance they get and sock it to Oregonians at the pump. PGA gets tax breaks, and we're digging into this because as far as I'm concerned, I'm a basketball player, not a golfer, but we got a lot of clubs in our bag, and we're going to use them all.
You did play in college, and that leads me, of course, to our basketball conversation. Before we started this interview, it's Saturday, as I referenced. Dame Lillard just a few hours ago, I would say the greatest Blazer of all time, reportedly asked for a trade. You're a big fan of Dame and the team. What are you thinking right now?
Well, we still don't know what's going to happen in the next few days, but I am an eternal optimist. So if Dame goes with another team, maybe, just maybe, he'll do what LeBron James did. He went off to Miami for a few years, and then he came back and he got a title for his hometown.
I like that. That is interesting. And by hometown, you mean the Warriors? Because he's from Oakland? Sorry, just messing with you on that one. Well, that would be a great story for him to come back to the Blazers in a few years.
That's the hope.
All right, good to see you. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
No worries.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.